What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top-rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to NBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000, that's 250,000 readers of West Hartford Magazine, Jewish Ledger, and weha.com. Live 24/7, 365, and wherever you find your podcasts, or on weha.com, or at 20media20.com. Before we speak with our guest today, join me in welcoming our co-host, Bob Carr. Hi, Bob.
Good morning, Tom. Tom Hickey, along with myself, Kosher Bukati, and Ronnie Newton is a founder and partner in weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine, The Taste of West Hartford, The Best of West Hartford, which is coming up this September 28th, as well as other fun events throughout the year. Post-production and distribution of our podcast is managed by Exvadia Media, a division of the Modern Observer Group. Today, our guest is Mana Zarinejad, the Executive Director of the Connecticut Forum. Hello, Mana.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So we have this upcoming Connecticut Forum season, but give our listeners who may have not listened to episode 46, so if you want to go back and listen to episode 46, Mana was on last year. Give us a little background and history of the forum and your role there.
Sure. Thanks so much, Bob. So the forum was founded in the early 1990s, a previous millennium, and the founders came together at the time and thought about, what does Hartford need? What does this region need? And they thought, why not bring people together to hear from thought leaders and artists and cultural icons of that particular era on the stage, and bring communities together to hear new ideas, to come with their own ideas, to hear new ideas, and then take ideas back to their communities. And year after year, the forum has been able to grow, and it's reached a point where not only does it serve the Greater Hartford community, but we actually have audience members coming from Western Massachusetts, from Rhode Island, from parts south. It's really a statewide effort, and it's been going strong. This is our 35th season that we will launch this fall, and we're very excited about that. I believe the stone is coral, in case you gentlemen want to purchase jewelry from me. I work with 5 other women, so you'll have to buy 6 pieces. Please keep that in mind. In case people missed episode 46, and I encourage them to reference it after this conversation, but I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. In the earlier part of my career. And what was fascinating about Washington is it brought communities together, policymakers, people from the diplomatic corps, college students, college faculty, administrators, and lots of other folks in the world of policy and thinking, including lots and lots of companies and lobbyists. It would bring people together around issues. And we're talking hundreds of panel discussions that occur every day in Washington. Now, why does that matter? Did all of the solutions come from those conversations? No, but people came together and debated important issues, often the great challenges of our time, sometimes the great opportunities of our time, and coming together to engage on issues, to debate them. First, it enabled people to see the similarities they have in terms of their viewpoints, even with people with whom they often disagree. But also, it enabled people to start thinking about and developing a deeper form of empathy for issues and people that may not actually connect to their own lives, but they still matter in the world, right? It just helps you develop a deeper sense of your humanity. And so I always hearken back on the water crisis in Yemen. That's a discussion I went to at CSIS, the Center for Strategic International Studies, which is, I believe, at this point, the largest think tank in the world. When I went to hear the water crisis in Yemen, no solutions came out of it. There were lots of folks who had lots of different opinions, lots of debate. And as we all know, Yemen has probably bigger crises ongoing at present, including a war that it's just entered. So the water crisis is maybe second or third on the list. But being able to engage in an issue that mattered on the other side of the world helped educate us about issues that might matter here, right? The Colorado River water crisis that's impacting 7 states deeply, and the federal government is about to intervene this week. So there is a deeper sense of empathy that you gain. There's a deeper sense of humanity. And so the value of the forum is bringing all of these communities together to engage, to learn, and to take those ideas back. And we hope develop bridges between populations, between communities, between neighbors where perhaps they did not exist previously.
Wow. Everyone needs to play that back.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Thanks.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that when you create these discussions, when you get through, when you go and pick the different discussions you're going to have, what are the things that are difficult to let go of? Say, what was the fifth item on your agenda that won't get onto this year's forum? Right. What are those?
Sure.
What are those type of issues that you're not able to talk about?
Well, it happens to be chief in the alphabet, but also chief on everyone's minds, AI, artificial intelligence, right? We hosted a forum 2 seasons ago on AI. And that was just at the point where AI was emerging as a concept in the public space. And frankly, there was a lot of fear around it and a lot of ignorance. 2 years on, we're in a different place. Most companies are engaging AI, nonprofits are engaging AI. And in fact, we're often told that if we don't begin to engage AI, we're probably going to become more and more marginalized in our business communities, right? And so that's a topic that we have wanted to return to the stage. But as far as this season, we weren't able to do so. The question that is on a lot of people's minds is how AI will impact the current workforce, the workforce 5 years from now, and the workforce of their children and grandchildren. And we weren't able to get to a point where we had folks that we thought could speak to that at present.
Like I just as a side note, Mama and Bob, I had to tell you this. It was just last week or the week before when Google did an upgrade. And now all of a sudden I was sending out emails and someone was correcting my grammar and my spelling and all that. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it was AI. And I forgot what the word was, but I've been spelling the word wrong my entire life. So I was just like, oh, I like AI. This is great. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
And really, the AI can serve as a tool. And a lot of companies are introducing it as sort of an assistant to employees, right? And certainly nonprofits are looking at that as well. AI can help with workflow and help you prompt. It can prompt for you things that you need to do, right? Oh, I have to send that client an email. Oh, I have to follow up and these reports are due, et cetera, et cetera. So in some ways it's serving as an assistant, and it's helping with spelling and all of those other things, that grammatical errors, things that perhaps our AP style book is no longer on our desks anymore. And so those things absolutely can support it. And I do think we'll return to that topic in a year or two, maybe next year. The issue is having people across the spectrum discuss it. And we just weren't sure. I think there's still a lot of big question marks as to how AI will influence the workforce 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And so we didn't feel confident enough to present people at this point.
Beautiful. Great. I have a topic question, if you don't mind, Bob, if I throw that in there.
Go ahead.
One of the things I was thinking about was especially since it's the 35th anniversary. Was there any topic that either you were involved with or that you heard about that was extremely controversial and heated? that almost made you feel uncomfortable, as like, oh gosh, where is this going? What's going to happen? Or am I wrong? Did that never happen? That's good.
That's a great question. The discussion we did have on AI was really quite controversial, where people were coming from different vantage points, and our moderator was coming from a different vantage point. But not too long ago, we actually had some experts on international relations on stage. And in many ways, they had the same opinion, but they were coming at it from very different positions. And so it did get a little hot under the collar. And it may or may not have happened towards the end, where one of the speakers exited the stage, perhaps to everyone's surprise, a little bit early. So occasionally that sort of thing happens, but our goal is to bring a diverse body of speakers to the stage. We don't want people that all agree with one another. And
Boring.
so
Yeah, that's like,
and actually, it's interesting you should raise that issue, Tom. So this past season, we hosted former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg in conversation with Jonah Goldberg, who's a longtime conservative journalist and has written quite a bit with respect to conservative media, and is very well respected in traditional conservative circles. And our audience, it's the state of Connecticut and beyond, but it leans a little bit on the progressive side. The state of Connecticut leans a little bit on the progressive side, on the liberal side. And we heard more comments on Jonah Goldberg, even though people were coming for Pete Buttigieg, they were wowed by Jonah Goldberg just as much in a different way, right? The
right.
ideas that Jonah Goldberg stated really impressed people, even though this was an audience that leaned left for sure. They were coming for Pete. Many of them had never heard of Jonah Goldberg, but they walked away thinking more about Jonah's ideas. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to have people take new ideas back to their communities and continue these conversations with their friends, neighbors, and family for the weeks and months ahead.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about who's coming up this year. I know that there's a surprise first one, right?
We're really excited about that one, Bob. So as we kick off our 35th season this fall, we're thrilled to host comedian and former Daily Show host Trevor Noah for a discussion on October 6th here in Hartford at the Bushnell Performing Arts Center. We're thrilled about Trevor Noah. So just to give you a little bit of background, he's known, of course, for the Daily Show, hosting the Grammys for the last several years, and of course his stand-up comedy, which you can find on various streaming platforms. But his personal story is one that's incredibly moving. He was born and raised in South Africa to a Black South African mother and to a white father. And the experience he had in enduring apartheid, and I emphasize enduring apartheid, having to live apart from his parents, both parents, going back and forth between homes, and being a child who is not as dark as perhaps his classmates. It's really a remarkable story that he's going to share. He actually wrote about it several years ago in a book, in a memoir that I believe has been on various bestseller lists for over 5 years, off and on. And thousands and thousands of high school students have read his book. Many, many millions more have purchased it. We're really excited to have him come to the Forum stage and share his story, and then share his thoughts on the moment in which we find ourselves today. This past month, or 6 weeks really, he actually also hosted World Cup podcasts, not to compete with other amazing podcasts. I mean, his were not as great as these, obviously, the one we're on. But he talked about the World Cup, and he was podcasting live from each game, and growing an audience of World Cup followers and people who never knew about the World Cup, but were excited to hear him discuss it. It was fantastic, and so we're really excited to have him join us on the heels of his World Cup experience. And he's also beginning a series. He actually did one a few years ago, a travel series, but he'll be doing a new travel series around South Africa, and so we're really excited about that as well. So that's October.
Weha.com, West Hartford's best news source. Weha.com covers West Hartford and only West Hartford. Find us and subscribe to the Weha.com newsletter for free. Log on to we-ha.com. That's we-ha.com. We have it all in West Hartford.
I talked about this a couple episodes ago. I also think it's his, I think it's the accent that helps too when you're listening. We had someone on, who was that, Bob, for part of the Shakespeare
With
thing?
the Hartford Shakespeare Festival, we had I can't remember his name right now, but he was British, and it always sounds better when you have a British accent, right? He sounds so much smarter.
They're a little mesmerizing, those accents, are they not?
They absolutely are.
So, yeah. So we're very excited to have Trevor on stage on October 6th. And then as we look at the rest of the season, as you know, we host 4 flagship forums, and Trevor is at the helm with the first flagship forum. As we look at the rest of the season, we were really trying to think about what are communities telling us. We actually conduct quite a number of surveys, and we try to reach out to thousands and thousands of people across the state, as well as other stakeholders, to give us their opinions of speakers and themes and topics that we should focus on in the upcoming season. And 3 things kept coming up that we decided, okay, these are reflective of the moment in which we find ourselves. And so therefore, let's see if we can host these discussions on stage. So first and foremost, I think that we're in a moment where people maybe don't talk about it publicly, maybe they don't talk about it outside of their very tight social circles, but finance, the economy, the future of their retirement savings, I think are chief on people's minds. This is an era in which we find ourselves where the economy continues to go up in the stock exchange, but people are spending more at the grocery stores than they have in many, many years. And they're feeling that challenge in their day-to-day lives, that the money is just really tight for so many consumers. And at the same time, stocks have never been more, the stock exchange has never been more successful. So this polarity, this challenge has really been, I think, on the minds of many who are trying to live off retirement savings, off Social Security, and others who are trying to save for the future. And so with that in mind, on Friday, November 20, we're excited to host a discussion on the future of the economy and on finance. We'll probably expand that discussion to talk about a number of topics that relate back to that, including technology that is very much fueling the stock market at present. We have joining us that evening financial journalist Andrew Ross Sorkin, who has written 2 books on our darkest days in the economy. He wrote a book in 2008 or about the 2008 financial crisis, and then he wrote a book about what led to the Great Depression. So he is a financial journalist that really knows the U.S. economy. He has a show called Squawk Box on CNBC on weekday mornings, and he leads the New York Times Deal Book Conference every year. Actually, this year's New York Times Deal Book Conference is just a couple days before Andrew will be joining us on the forum stage. So we're excited for him to come with additional details from his experience hosting policymakers and business leaders for the Deal Book Conference. Andrew will be joined on stage with a few other speakers that we will be announcing later in early fall, but we're very excited to have him, and we are hopeful that it'll really be a discussion that will help to educate audiences about the economy today, but also how to prepare for a year from now and 5 years from now. So we're very excited to host him.
Very cool.
And then in a similar fashion, as we look to other issues that matter to people in this region, but around the country, we're seeing continuously the changing face of journalism. And that has meant a lot of things. In my hometown of Manchester, Connecticut, that has meant the local paper is no longer a local paper. The Journal Enquirer is now a Hearst product that it goes to a number of other communities, and it's basically the same product, but it's not what it was years ago. And we're seeing that not just with local journalism, but we're seeing the potential for CNN to be sold to a company that has just dramatically changed CBS News, right? So we're looking at major changes at the local, at the national, and the international, and it's impacting our lives. It's impacting our democracy. It's impacting the knowledge that we gain. On any given day, my father will receive on Instagram, on TikTok, news that is actually inaccurate. It's wildly, wildly false. And he'll point out, so-and-so just died. And I'll be like, what? Hold on, let me Google it. Nope, so-and-so did not just die. And so the reality is consumers are being fed false information regularly from outlets that portend to be journalistic outlets. And so we appreciate that we're in a very, very strange time where journalism is transforming and has transformed, and we want to know where it's going. We want to know what's to come. Again, in a year from now, 5 years from now, and we're also hearing from young people all the time saying, "Wait a minute, you tell us." Go to trusted news sources. Don't go to all of these TikToks and other places for your news. But all of these trusted news sources have paywalls, excuse me. They no longer are free. So you're asking us to pay to get factual information. And that's problematic. And so we realize that not only do we have a challenge in terms of being able to report the news in local communities, and that's impacting communities heavily across the country. We're having challenges with what news is being fed to us through streaming services, through online services, and then in social media. And then we're also having challenges of accessing factual news when people may not be able to afford it, or perhaps should not have to afford it. So with that in mind, we wanted to bring together a group of journalists for this discussion around the future of journalism. And that will be on March 3rd in Hartford. And we're very excited to host journalist Chris Hayes from MS Now, who will join us. He just produced a book, I believe, within the last year called On Attention, and it looks at how our attention spans have changed, how media is being produced to address, to really focus us for just immediate impact and moving us on. And so we're very excited to host Chris Hayes. We'll have a couple other journalists that we'll have on stage, and we'll be announcing them in the coming months. But we're very excited to have this conversation. We think that it will help these communities in our area better understand what to expect, and also better understand what they should be demanding of their local news outlets and the companies that have purchased many of these news outlets. So we're very excited for that talk.
Now, Amanda, if anybody listening needs to check your website or contact you or whatever, how do they reach you?
Thanks, Tom. So they can visit ctforum.org at any time, where they can purchase tickets. They can learn more information about the speakers, their biographies. They can access other information related to each forum. And in addition to each forum, we actually have associated events that go along with each forum. So these are free events in the community that we call Forum Encores. All of that information will also be on our website, ctforum.org. And they're always welcome to call us at the forum at 860-509-0909. Fortunately and unfortunately, sometimes I pick up the phone and they may end up talking about basically a podcast long discussion with me, even though they might not have requested it. So we're always very excited to chat with people, and we welcome people going to our website, calling us. And then our email is info@ctforum.org.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you so much. And one of the things you just made me think of, if somebody had not necessarily an opinion, but maybe an idea for a future topic, is that something that you would welcome, them to share with you as well? Or is there a certain time when they would do that?
Absolutely. People can reach out at any time with ideas. They really help us build on not just future forum seasons, but those ideas can help us build on immediate forum seasons. In fact, we love hearing from folks like, okay, Chris Hayes is coming on March 3rd. What are the questions you would like to ask Chris Hayes? What are the topics we should raise? We absolutely welcome and encourage ideas for questions to ask, for future themes and topics of forums. They really help us. They illuminate the discussion. And when our moderators go on stage, they have a series of themes and questions that we've built for them to ask and to start off the discussion. Many of those come from our audience members. So we encourage people to reach out throughout the year, and indeed they do.
Great. Excellent.
And then our last forum of the season, again, reflective of the time, we hear from folks, particularly young people, but really, actually, it's for young people and seniors often that this moment is hopeless. Like the world is coming to an end. Things are so bad. And we can appreciate that things are challenging in so many aspects, right? We talked about the economy, obviously, global affairs, politics in Washington is more divisive than ever. And so we also wanted to remind people that not all hope is lost, that people have been known to save the world or save their neighborhoods, their communities, their regions, their states, their countries, and the world, like singularly. Individuals have been able to change their worlds. And we want to talk about that. We want to talk about humanitarianism, about saving the world, about how someone can change her or his own community or neighborhood. Like it's not all hope is lost. If there are things that we see that we want to change, we can change them. And so we're really excited to have on the forum stage two impressive humanitarians, David Miliband, who comes with that English accent that we all love, as well as Samantha Power. So David Miliband leads one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the world, International Crisis Group, and he has really been one of the most outspoken speakers on what needs to be done to save people in moments of major hunger crises. And we are now in a major hunger crisis in much of the world, and through war-torn regions. He was formerly Foreign Secretary and Secretary of the Development and the Environment in the United Kingdom. And we're really excited to have him on stage. And Samantha Power was formerly the Secretary, the United Nations Secretary, Ambassador of the United States to the United Nations, as well as the head of USAID, the Administrator for U.S. Agency for International Development here in the United States. And so she and David have both had very long careers trying to improve lives, not just in their own countries, but around the world. And so we're very excited to have them on stage to talk about humanitarianism in this moment in which we find ourselves. As you know, much of the development work that we have undertaken as a society around the world has basically been sunset over the past year and a half. And so that doesn't mean that nobody's doing anything. A lot of private organizations have stepped up to take on some of that work, but at the same time, the amount of money private foundations contribute is not comparable to the amounts of money that countries can contribute. And so things have changed, but all hope is not lost, and there are ways that all of us can get involved and work to improve our environment, our health, our region, and we want to talk about that.
Very good. So I think we're close to running out of time.
We are.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
But the most important thing, if anyone forgets anything that you just said, or as you said in the very beginning, go back to episode 46 and tune in. But you can always go to ctforum.org to get plenty of information about what's going on at the Connecticut Forum. Anything?
That's great.
with a couple minutes left, anything, Bob or Mana, that we forgot to talk about, or do we just sign off? I think we covered pretty much everything.
I think we covered this season. I will say that it was great to
Yep.
go to the Forum. The Forum is an exceptional evening, and if you have never been, I would encourage folks in the audience to go and go and enjoy it, and also learn some stuff.
There you go.
And they don't get to, but they might have an opportunity to meet Bob and his lovely wife. So
There you go.
that's got to be a perk. I'll see if I can add it to our collateral.
There you go.
Chance to meet Bob and his lovely wife.
Thanks,
All
Mama.
right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, for joining us. And remember to not only support Connecticut Forum, our guest today, but our presenting sponsor, NBT Bank, because without their support, there would be no podcast. So thank you, NBT Bank. And remember, you can find us and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, even YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts. Be safe, be well. In the meantime, we'll see you on the scene at Connecticut Forum.
Thank you, Dylan.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.